Good afternoon, students. Today, our topic is artificial neural network. It's one of the neural network which has been inbuilt in deep learning. So, when we talk about artificial neural network, we deal with three things. First is perceptron, hidden layer, and output layer. Now, what is perceptron? Perceptron is always about a neurological structures which consist some of the inputs taken along with the weights, and it helps to produce a different output which is already expected by different companies. Now, when we talk about hidden layer, it is actually the process that is responsible to transform the data coming up from input layer and to perform a various complex calculation on it so that we can easily calculate the output layers. The last, after the hidden layer, the output layer is dealt with. The final layer that actually produces the whole scenario of the output with a given computation process is responsible in output layer, and it is that generated structure where we actually come to know the exact input and output mapping circumstances. Now, coming up to next, components of neural network. Components of neural network में we deal with neurons, weights, activation functions, and bias. Neurons are the processing units. These units are actually receiving the inputs. They apply some of the activation functions and then they generate the output signals. After it, we can study about the weight. Now, what are the weights? They are actually the parameters that are assigned to all the connections between all those neurons which we were talking about in a previous phase. They actually determine on how much impact a one neuron has on the other one and how much activation function is responsible there. Last, we have activation functions and bias. Activation function is nothing but a function that is mathematically responsible and it is applied in the neurons input. And when we talk about bias, it is an additional parameter जो कि हेल्प करता है आपके एक्टिवेशन फंक्शन को शिफ्ट करने में. It is actually responsible for fine tuning of all the neuron outputs. That's all for today. Separate topics will be discussed in the later videos. Thank you. Sej Anandam.